Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sports Weekly Podcast. Your host, Daniel Marlo here. I know it's been a while, but I am back. I'm trying to get a schedule in place where I post Wednesday and Saturday. I know this episode will be coming out later, not on Wednesday, but I had some pump up on Wednesday. I still want to give you guys an episode. But first, I want to start off with MLB playoff push. It's about middle of August. And you have about a month and a half left. Things are really starting to shake up a little bit. You got the Milwaukee Brewers on a hot streak. You got some teams falling through the standings. As I look here, you got, Marlins who were trying to make a push. They fall. The D-backs fallen. The Dodgers, who were at first place, now one game back behind the Padres. On the AL side, you got the Blue Jays carrying away with the AL East. The AL Central, the Guardians were trying to make a push, but the Tigers have started to step back up to go 6-4 in the last 10. And the Astros and Mariners were just tied for first place, and now the Astros are a game and a half up on the Mariners. So we're going to have some bold predictions for you at the end of the episode, so stay tuned for those. Those bold predictions will be centered around MLB, just different playoff stuff. But we're going to go look at especially the wild card, because that's pretty close. Especially National League, right? Right now, you got the Cubs 4.5 up for the first place wild card spot. You got the Los Angeles Dodgers, right, in second place, and the Mets are only a half game up on Cincinnati Reds for that third wild card spot. Lurking close behind those Cincinnati Reds is the St. Louis Cardinals, 3.5 games back at 500, and the D-backs 4.5 games back, 2 games under 500. The Giants are 5 games back too. They can make a push, but they've been teetering as late. They've lost the last 5 games in a row, and they're 4-6 in the last 10. On the AL side, the Mariners and Red Sox are going back and forth for that wild card spot. The Mariners are up 2.5 games on the Yankees, who have the third wild card spot, and the Red Sox are up a game and a half on the Yankees. So there's only a game difference there between the Mariners and Red Sox for that first wild card spot. Those 3 teams, the Mariners, Red Sox, Yankees, all technically on losing streaks, so the Red Sox are on a 1 game and so are the Yankees. The Guardians are a half game back in the wild card, so they can make up. They're in prime position for a playoff run. The Texas Rangers are 3.5 back. They've lost the last 3 games and they're 3-7 in the last 10. So if they really want to make a push, they gotta step up their game. For a team that won the World Series 2 years ago, they aren't acting like it. The Angels are only 5 games back. And the Royals are also only 4 games back. They're 500 over the last 10 games. And the Angels are on a 3-game winning streak, and they're 6-4 in the last 10. They've been playing the Dodgers this past week. They have played very good. But going back into some of these NL teams that were winning a Central, the National League Central, the Chicago Cubs, a team that was in first place, has really hit the rails. I mean, it doesn't help that the team in first place is 10-0 in the last 10 and on a 12-game winning streak. But the Cubs are 4-6 in the last 10, and they have been struggling at the plate. They've had multiple hitters like Pete Armstrong, Kyle Tucker, Seiya Suzuki. All those guys been struggling. Even Dansby Swanson has been struggling at the plate, and it's starting to carry the field as he's made about 2 errors yesterday against the Blue Jays. 2 years ago. But PCA is one of those guys I look at who's kind of overhyped, that kind of sense where I don't overvalued, because if you look at his baseball savant page and you look at most of his numbers on here, they're either average or they're below average. His chase percentage is 43%. He chases the ball 43% of the time. His walk rate is only 4%. That's the bottom of 3%. His chase percentage, the bottom 1%. He's the first percentile. That's not good. The whiff percentage, 29% of the time. The decays, 24. Those are all below average numbers, and they're bottom of the league. You're not going to be able to succeed if you're chasing and whiffing, which leads to strikeouts and leads to not enough walks. He kind of needs to go back to what he was doing before he was hitting all the home runs. I know he's got 27 home runs this year, but he's hitting 254, and his OBP is dropped below 300. You're only getting on base 29% of the time. That's not good. His on base percentage is barely 40 points higher than his average. That's not good, especially for that Cubs team who has the PCA really has been moving that team to be better. And they were kind of feeding on that. And he starts slumping, and everybody else kind of follows in and also slumps. Another team that I've noticed has kind of fallen back in the playoff push, the New York Mets. They are 1-9 in their last 10 games on a 2-game losing streak. They were 5 games back in the NL East. So that means they were at one point winning the NL East or very close to it. And now they're 5 games back, and the Phillies are 6 in front of the last 10. Yeah, they're on a 3-game losing streak, but the Mets aren't winning either, so you're not getting any games. They got to get back to winning and doing what they know how to do. The Padres, on the other hand, they're 8-2 in the last 10, 5-game winning streak. They were a team that made a big push at the trade deadline, pushing in all their chips, all their prospects gone for a bunch of MLB level ready guys, and they want that World Series title. But the Dodgers are 1 game back, but they're 4-6 in the last 10 and on a 4-game losing streak. So that's one of those things like the Dodgers, you were winning the NL West, and now you're falling back. Why? Because you're struggling. Now over to AL. Blue Jays running off with the AL East, like I mentioned earlier. The Red Sox 5 games back, and the New York Yankees 6.5 games back. Boston Red Sox 5-5 in the last 10. New York Yankees 4-6 in the last 10. Toronto Blue Jays 6-4 in the last 10. You gotta win games. I mean, it's just kind of simple. When other teams losing, you gotta be able to win games. In the AL Central, it's a little farther apart. The Guardians are 6.5 back. And the Tigers have decided to start winning games to keep that lead where it's at. The Guardians right now are just focusing on getting that last wildcard spot and moving on from there. They want to maintain that wildcard spot and be able to push because they're exceeding expectations. They're 63-57. They're only supposed to have 58. Not supposed to have, but expected to have 58 wins. They're 5 games above their projected record. So they're already in a spot where they shouldn't be. So they have to capitalize on that. In the AL West, the Rangers are about out of their playoff picture. 7.5 games back in the AL West, but the Astros 6 in front of the last 10. Mariners 8-2 in the last 10. Mariners on a 2-game losing streak, which is what has allowed Astros to take the AL West lead. So them being able to take the AL West lead is a huge thing, especially after getting Carlos Correa at the trade deadline. Being able to and having him play third base opens up so many spots, especially when they moved Altuve to the left field. That lineup has so many opportunities from guys moving around. Now moving on to some NFL preseason rookie watch. Big news for the Browns. Quinshon Judkins will not face any arrest or won't face any charges for when he got arrested in July. He got arrested in July for the battery charge domestic incident in South Florida because the prosecutors declined to pursue charges because they reviewed the police reports and everything basically didn't add up and was enough to put any charges on him. So they let him go, and now he's able to go back to Brown training camp. He probably will not be ready for regular season, but I think the Browns are more glad to just be able to have him after not having Nick Chubb anymore. Now they got maybe a possible running back for the future. Other news for rookies: Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart, 2 QBs looking to make a name for themselves. You know, Shedeur's already got kind of a name, but he wants to make his own. Did very well in his preseason game. Threw 2 touchdowns. Jackson Dart also did pretty well in his New York Giants preseason game. He didn't think so himself when he was talking to Dabble, as he called it, I quote, mid, but he did throw for a good amount of yards and a good completion percentage for a guy who was drafted in front of Shedeur, and a lot of people didn't project him to be drafted like that. And a guy like Shedeur, who was projected to be a first-round pick, maybe even a top 5 pick, falls and he gets dropped all the way down to the 5th round. That's a big hit for a guy like that, especially a guy who in college everyone hyped up. He's got his dad's last name. Every mock draft had him going in the 1st round, and even maybe a 1st overall pick above Travis Hunter. And that did not turn out true, and he just slid in the draft. There was some possible issues with character, behavior, having that ego kind of style. People don't like seeing out of a rookie. But that's just something that happens. And it's kind of one of those things you got to make a mistake and learn from it. Travion Henderson for the Patriots, having a good camp. He had a 100-yard return touchdown for the Patriots in the preseason. and he's also had very good practice plays in training camp. He had a 70-yard touchdown pass and the Patriots scrimmage against the Vikings in training camp. So very good for them. Training camp is more of a way to evaluate players. They're not looking to win every game. I mean, that'd be awesome if I was a coach and my preseason team won every game. But you're evaluating. So all these people who get hyped up for preseason, they're winning or losing, and kind of make it a big deal of it. And you're not going out there for wins. You're going out there to get your snap count up and evaluate players and see where they fit best and if they should be starting or not. And just going and basing it and just going off of that, we're gonna go mid-season here for MLS. They're in the middle of their Leagues Cup. They have the bracket pretty much finalized. I shouldn't say pretty much. They do have it finalized. They are going to have. The Leagues Cup is a cup between MLS teams and MLS teams. So you got the Seattle Sounders versus versus Puebla. And then you have Orlando versus Toluca. And then on the bottom part of your bracket, you got Inter Miami versus. So your Messi fans out there, there's a game for you. All these games are being played on August 20th, by the way. And then now you have LA Galaxy versus Pachuca. Like I said, all these games are on August 20th. So be looking forward to that. That's gonna be here pretty soon. And also, while that's going on, we're gonna talk about the standings for MLS too. In the Eastern Conference, Philadelphia Union on top by 2 points, 51 points. They're beating Cincinnati in standings. Cincinnati only got 49 points. And in Western Conference, you got the San Diego with 49 points, Vancouver right behind for 45, and they're bringing in Thomas Mueller from Bayern Munich. So that might be a big move for them, and they can gain some spots in the standings. And I mean, they're only 4 points back, so that's a win and a draw away from being tied for first. Those are only 13-6-6, so good for them. And they got some talent on the way. Same with LAFC. They got Heung-min Son from Tottenham. They have 37 points, but if they can get a top 4 and get something in, win the MLS Cups, that's good for him. Good for LAFC and good for him, as he would like to help make a push. And they're 2-3-5 away, which is not very good for a team at all. And now, on to my bold predictions. We're going to do 2 AL wildcard spots. Not 2 AL wildcards. 2 wildcard spots for both NL and AL. A team that I think will surprise everyone in AL because National is my team, so I'm going to do the best for last. The team I think that can make a surprise run here for the AL is the Royals. I think the Guardians get in by themselves. The Yankees drop out. The Yankees drop out because they're undisciplined. And honestly, Aaron Boone is not the good manager. And if the Yankees miss playoffs, I could see him getting fired this year. But I could see the Royals and Guardians both making it together. The Rangers continuing their slide as they're 37 in their last 10. Now, on to the National League wild card. Cincinnati Reds get in. New York Mets, they drop out, miss. They fire Carlos Mendoza after the year because of how they have performed last year. Last year's better for them, but they went from last year performing good, starting out the year good, and now you're just pitter-pattering your way. And now you have meeting their teammates in here, like the Cardinals. So then you get the Reds and Cardinals in here. Dodgers overtake for first. Maybe the Dodgers or Padres. You know, one of them just absolutely tumbles at the end of the year. You know, a lot of players together like the Padres, who are all very good, sometimes don't all mesh well. They're playing good now, but what happens if something happens in the locker room and everything kind of falls apart? And then you have the Reds, Cardinals, Cubs, and Brewers all in the playoffs. You would have 4 of the 5 teams from the National League Central in the playoffs, and that would make the National League Central the toughest division in all of baseball, which I believe it is now, and I will always believe that. If the Brewers had not have 2 10-game winning streaks, this division would be so close. And right now they're on a 12-game winning streak, and they're 8 games ahead of the Cubs. I mean, they're just pulling away, and it doesn't help that the Cubs keep losing. I mean, they're at games against Pittsburgh, so they got 3 games here where it could possibly make up ground, because the Brewers got to go to Cincinnati, and so there's a lot of opportunity here in the National Central, where there's the Brewers, the Cubs, the Reds, make any ground really on anyone. So that's all I have for bold predictions. If you guys have any hot takes that you'd like to mention, put them down in the comments or DM me on my Instagram and let me know about some of your hot takes, and maybe I can discuss them in my next episode. I'm going to run through some top headlines here. The NFL Players Association, one of the top players is on leave due to an HR complaint, so that might be something that might kind of blossom something else within the NFL Players Association. Isaiah Bond will not be charged in his domestic violence charge, and he will be joining the Browns. Not domestic violence, sexual assault. So I just want to make sure I got that charge right. And then the Phillies are going to be using 6 starting pitchers when Noel returns. So that'll be something to look forward to, because the Phillies make a playoff push and they use 6 pitchers. That's a lot of pitchers. There's 90 pitchers who have been rested and their arms are kind of back here. So I really wonder what's going to happen. Playoff time with that rotation. Will they stick to 6? Will they cut it back down to 4? Because that's just the way the postseason works of your breaks. And that could be huge for a team like that, who sometimes they're struggling. Their pitching has struggled, but their pitching has also been very good this year, and their hitting struggled. So if they're able to rest their arms up, come the playoffs pretty rested up of arms with a top 5 pitching rotation in baseball, that might be very dangerous for any team in MLB. Because pitching dominates hitting, and if you can't hit the dominant pitching, you're screwed. So that is my episode of Sports Weekly. I'm glad to be back. I'll be posting another episode Saturday. I'll try and get that out on time. Hopefully nothing comes up. And I'm glad to be back. And make sure to subscribe to my YouTube, subscribe to the podcast, and make sure to let me know about anything you want to hear about, topics, sports, or any bold predictions you'd like for me to discuss. I'm your host, Daniel Marlo. Peace out. See you next time.